I wasn't a multi-millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. My God, 8 Mile, hand her the mic, sit down. Oh, what are you going to say now, bitch? Huh? Nothing. It's over. Hermione, you had a good run. You thought you were Hermione. You're actually the horrible professor woman. You know, Umbridge, who regulates everyone's thoughts and won't let anyone think what they fucking should be thinking. That's who you really are. You were never Hermione. You're Umbridge. And we just come at you with all them Horcruxes. You weren't even a good actress. We could have changed her with any fucker. I coaxed you through your lines. I was the support system for you. I picked you. And this is how you fucking treat me. Stabbing me in the back. Disgusting. Da 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 da. All right. In this video, we got a showdown between two wizards, yeah? In the red corner, Hermione Granger, also known as Emma Watson. In the other corner, J.K. Rowling, the woman who wrote Harry Potter. And these two go way back. This is a little girl in Emma Watson who was essentially chosen and signed off on by J.K. Rowling to be in the Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling would be very much a mentor to her to get her through, you know, these movies, because early on they were so young, and let's be real, Emma Watson was never a great actress. Like, she just wasn't, right? If you know acting, you know that she wasn't. But Harry Potter made her whole life, and not only did she make millions from Harry Potter as a kid, but she's then gone on to be in other movies and make millions in other movies. It changed her whole life. So there's a deep history here, but unfortunately, that now counts for nothing because these two are not friends. And it's been bubbling for years, and I'm going to get into how and why, but recently it's really kicked off. So we're going to explore this and figure out who's in the right here. Now, I think this would be a good place to start. This is Emma Watson's tweet from 2018, wearing a t-shirt that says trans rights are human rights. And the trans debate is exactly what has brought all of this falling out about. Because a year later, J.K. Rowling made her first ever tweet in the trans debate after a researcher called Maya Forstater was fired for asserting that sex was biological and could not be changed. Now, here's the tweet, and ironically, J.K. Rowling only entered this debate in order to protect someone from cancel culture and say that this is out of order here. And in doing so, she firmly got everyone's attention to then try and cancel her, ironically. The tweet reads, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who'll have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. I stand with Maya. This is not a drill." Now, on the 6th of June 2020, J.K. Rowling quoted this article, which was posted, "Creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate." Now, J.K. Rowling replied to this with, "People who menstruate. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wimbun? Wimpund? Woomud?" Now, that stirred up a lot of debate, and a lot of people were coming at her. So she decided, you know what, I'm going to put this into words and really explain myself here in a 3,600 word essay that she released. And she expressed concerns about trans women, born men, being allowed into biological women's spaces such as bathrooms, shelters, you know, hospital wards, changing rooms, prisons, everything that ordinarily would be a private space for biological women. Because she herself is a survivor of abuse from a man. So you can understand why she's coming from that angle. And she also expressed major concerns for children who are looking to transition at such a young age and getting irreversible surgeries when there are people out there who have had these surgeries and later want to detransition and go back and they can't. They'll never be the same again. And another big point that she made was that the language, people who menstruate, for example, is undermining women's rights, and it's just a way of pushing people towards a direction that we shouldn't be going in. Because women, as she points out, fought very hard for those rights. And because she's been abused before, it heightens her sensitivity towards a lot of these issues. Now, later that day, after this essay has come out, Emma Watson puts this tweet out. "Trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are." She just dropped a fucking bomb and immediately, out loud, went completely against J.K. Rowling publicly. And as if that wasn't enough, she actually put a few more messages below that saying, "I want my trans followers to know that that I and so many other people around the world see you, respect you, and love you for who you are. J.K. Rowling obviously did a 3,600 word essay where she tried to put the respectful side of it across, but also voiced her concerns. And that is really giving that other people, some people, don't respect you, don't love you for who you are. Do you know what I mean? And then just to make herself look even better in the eyes of the public, said, I donate to Mermaids Gender and Mama Cash. If you can, perhaps you'll feel inclined to do the same. Happy Pride 2020, sending love. It was clearly shots fired. Abso-fucking-lutely. She could have said this weeks and weeks later when things had settled down a bit, because obviously it was a very hostile environment for J.K. Rowling that day. But she made a point of choosing that day, because even without mentioning J.K. Rowling, it would pit her opposing J.K. Rowling in the eyes of everyone. She could have waited, or she could have rang J.K. Rowling up and said, you know, if you think you're making a mistake, say it to her as a friend. They were very close once upon a time. She chose to do this publicly, and she chose to stand against her. And I'm not even saying she's wrong in her opinion. That's not really what this is about. But the point needs to be remembered that she was the one who took the stand against J.K. Rowling first. Because when you do something on that exact same day, everyone knows what you're referring to. Now, one thing she mentioned there was, I donate to Mermaids Gender. And I actually looked into this because I was like, what is this charity? Now, according to the internet, Mermaid is a British charity founded in 95 that supports transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse children and young people up to the age of 19. So this is specifically about young people. Now, interestingly, in the last 5 years since Emma Watson decided to push them publicly and donate her money to them, they've come under a lot of scrutiny for various reasons. Some have accused them of encouraging transitions for children based on, for example, a girl being a tomboy, and they're like, yeah, you are a boy, get your operation book, love, which is fucking mind-blowing if true. They've also been accused of promoting puberty blockers and binders for children without sufficient safeguards. So obviously puberty blockers, you don't go through puberty, you don't become a man or you don't become a woman or whatever, and you're just this whole nother fucking situation. And once you miss that window, it can be life-changing. It will be life-changing. It's serious. And this is coming from someone who doesn't know a lot about it, but I know enough to know that. And then the binders thing, like, I think that's on about girls binding, like, so that they don't grow breasts or something. Fuck knows, man. It's crazy. This is mental to me. But this is a real thing that they were promoting, apparently. The CEO even had to step down in 2022 after ties were found to be had with a speaker who had problematic views on paedophilia. Wow. I can only assume that that's in some way normalizing it or something crazy like that. I mean, this whole fucking thing, what a charity this is. By the way, the National Lottery was donating funds to this charity, and they're putting chest binders on young girls to stop them from growing boobs, apparently. I mean, this is just mind-blowing stuff, really. That I went down this rabbit hole and my eyebrows just kept getting higher the more I read. I was a kid once, right? I had a lot of dreams and thoughts and things that I thought I wanted to be and who I was, and I was wrong about loads of it, most of it, which is why I wasn't allowed to get a tattoo when I was a fucking teenage boy. Because I was an idiot, let alone make those kind of life-changing decisions, you know? So I think that this is something that, like, the fact that Emma Watson was promoting this, I think is very interesting. It says a lot about the way the world was just 5 years ago. And I think a lot of this story is being viewed differently now because I think there's been a bit of a course correction where people who go along with the flow, as long as it's not bothering them in life, have sort of went, hold on a second, what the fuck's going on here? But nevertheless, Emma Watson had thrown down the gauntlet. Now, J.K. Rowling never responded to those tweets at the time. She just let it go. I think it was obvious it was a shot at her, but she, I think at the time said later on that she still had a lot of emotion for Emma, as almost like as an auntie would. She didn't want to go at the girl who she'd had so many lovely memories with and still seen very much as a child that she helped make who she is. But that didn't stop J.K. Rowling voicing her own opinions in several tweets about trans issues. Now, she quoted a video, which I'll play in a second, but she said, "We're told endlessly by trans activists that no minors have been given irreversible surgeries or drug treatments, that it's a lie, a scare tactic, a moral panic, a myth." And then she just points down at this video.
Gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies.
Can I just confirm here? Boston Children's Hospital. So they're not talking about adults here. We're talking about a hysterectomy for children.
A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender-affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender-affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender-affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
Basically proving the point of J.K. Rowling that these operations are happening to children. It is not a myth. She then quoted this post from a forum, I think it was, from a trans person who said that they had a panic attack after when at work they were told that they were going to do a quiz about Harry Potter. In there it says, I couldn't control my breathing. I just kept thinking in my head, that bitch wants us dead. That bitch wants us dead. It's just mad, isn't it? I'm sorry, but fuck me. J.K. Rowling quotes it saying, that bitch definitely doesn't want you dead. She does think you could use some mental health support though. Someone then commented saying, advocating for the erasure of trans people as a result, forcing trans individuals to live and express themselves in a way that makes them incredibly dysphoric has been shown to increase suicide ideation by 16 to 42%. So clearly, you aren't helping, that's for sure. She replied, you'd have a far happier life if you stopped pretending like people like me want trans people erased. As much as some people may disagree with her opinions, I think it's absolutely clear that she is purely fighting for women's rights and that she doesn't want to harm trans people. She just wants to maintain the rights that she was born with. There was a tweet from Trans Diaries which says, JK, how do you know a stranger is a man or a woman without forcing them to undress or undergo medical examination? She replies, I have a superpower called eyesight. And she quotes a picture of this individual here, this person, this trans-identified man, she says, and public fetishist has been illegally entering women's single-sex spaces, gleefully posting pictures of himself doing it and remains untroubled by police visits. And that's a real trigger point for her, right? Is that these men are coming into women's bathrooms and the like, and she's saying, look, we're vulnerable here. This can't go on. And people are tweeting her claiming that there's a difference between an actual trans person and a sexual predator trying a desperate headline-seeking legal defense, which J.K. Rowling replies to saying, at last, you can clear this up for me. What is the difference between an actual trans woman and a sexual predator who says he's a woman? How can we tell? What are the hallmarks of an actual trans woman? One person replied, one identifies as trans and the other is pretending to identify as trans. That's the difference. So J.K. Rowling replies, so if I understand correctly, saying I identify as a woman means you're really trans, but some people who say they identify as a woman aren't really trans. I'm really struggling to understand the difference. And that is the real problem here, because as much as I believe, as well as most people I would imagine, if you want to fucking say you're a woman, dress like a woman, do what the fuck you want, live how you want, that's fine. But the minute we start allowing biological men into women's spaces, yes, maybe a large percentage of those trans women would behave themselves in those spaces and would act completely normally. When you open that door to trans women who are biologically male, you're opening the door to anyone who is biologically male. No one's going to be standing at the door checking them. Once you saying it's okay, it's fine. And when you let them all in, you're not just letting in a good group of trans people, you're also letting in the sexual predators. That's a fact. You can't stop them at that point. And as much as I believe you should be able to live your life however you want, that comes to a very grinding halt the minute we start endangering actual women and children. We're not doing that for no one. Do whatever you want outdoors, do whatever you want in the comfort of your own home, but in these spaces, we're not playing around, because unfortunately, sick people do sick shit, and we can't allow that to be a possibility. I'm sure a lot of trans people completely understand that point. It's not an attack. I'd rather use the women's toilets. I bet you they're in a fucking better state than the men's are, because us lot leave them like a fucking shithole. But women, you all have to play by the same rules, so you all look after it usually, from what I understand. But the rules are there for fucking good reason. Now, as you can imagine, this did prompt a major backlash to J.K. Rowling, with people taking her words out of context and just hating her in the trans community especially.
People like J.K. Rowling need to fucking stop, because my people are dying because of her. She is killing us.
I'll stop you right there. J.K. Rowling's main audience is women, isn't it? Women aren't going out and killing trans women. Trans women will beat the fuck out of real women. Absolutely. The Olympics prove that. Obviously, there's people over-exaggerating everything she's saying.
Why is J.K. Rowling still alive? We should be focusing our efforts and our resources not on assassinating Trump, but instead on assassinating J.K. Rowling. That fucking wench needs to die. She needs to burn on the stake and die.
I think this is all the evidence J.K. Rowling needs for the point about the bathrooms. This is serious shit. We've seen, allegedly, the reason Charlie Kirk was killed was because he opposed some of this sort of stuff. And it was someone who was with a trans man who killed him. And she's had legit death threats, J.K. Rowling. That ain't no fucking exaggeration. This woman had to beef her security up because she was in serious danger.
I'm trans and I can't support an author who hates me, so...
Do you think that she hates you?
She seems to. Like, she's constantly going after me and my trans siblings' rights, saying that we're a threat to everyone. We just want to be happy and live. Like, that's all.
And she's literally not saying anything that you can't do other than going into women's bathrooms and saying that children shouldn't be getting these levels of surgery so young. That's literally it. She's not encouraging us all to go and fucking hunt fucking trans people. This is mental, the way they're misinterpreting her words.
I can live without Harry Potter, but trans kids can't live without transitioning.
All right, so that's her point. Okay, then. Now, what's funny is one of my mates used to like dress like a girl when we were young. Nowadays, what would happen? Would they be like, yeah, let's lob it off, let's chop it off? He's a grown-ass man with kids. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a phase. Things happen like that sometimes. It wasn't me. I'm telling you, it wasn't. Before you fucking start, I'd never have pulled it off. Nah, I was just too madly.
Because of rhetoric from people like J.K. Rowling, and specifically J.K. Rowling, my partner cannot get a passport anymore and may not be able to vote in the next election thanks to the SAVE Act that is being passed.
Basically, they said on your passport, you have to have your actual biological sex. You can't, like, just have whatever you want sort of thing. They're not stopping anyone from getting a passport. This is nonsense.
Maybe in a few decades, once that bitch is dead, we can have a discussion about the artistic merits of Harry Potter. There aren't many. Spoiler, she's a terrible writer.
Come on, there's no need to have a go at Harry Potter. Leave Potter alone. I quite liked it. Who's your favourite character? Let us know in the comments below. Could I play Hagrid in the remake? Bob Beat's been sentenced to death. That'd be great.
Usually it's the kid that informs the adults. And this idea that a parent pushes their kid to be trans is so ridiculous. I mean, I've got friends who've got kids that are trans, and it's a nightmare.
Interesting point there from Boy George. Some of you might remember him singing, "Do you really want to hurt me?" He was big in the 80s. And he raises an interesting point, right? Why would parents push their kids into being trans? Well, why would parents push their kids into being sick? Because that's what happens with Munchausen by proxy, which is an illness that a sick and twisted thing that some parents get, where they basically pretend and convince everyone, including the child itself, that their child is very, very ill. And sometimes they've gone as far as to like poisoning their kids. They get them to have medical procedures. And sometimes this has ended in kids' deaths. It's such a weird situation. And kids can spend a lot of their life on medication that they don't even fucking need because parents can be that convincing to the doctors, to the children, and orchestrate the whole situation. The reasons for this is the attention that the parent then gets, the emotional empathy from everyone, the fulfillment. Your center of attention when your kid is in a bad situation like that. And some people get addicted to that. As fucked up as that is, it's very much true. Now, are you saying to me that a parent can do that, but they couldn't want their child to be a girl if they're a boy? I absolutely believe that parents can push their kids into this sort of stuff. 1,000,000%. And I think a good example of that could very well be the fact that so many celebrity children are trans compared to ordinary working class people. Why are the numbers so ridiculously high in Hollywood compared to ordinary places? Because in Hollywood, you get every fucking narcissist known to man, attention seeker, because obviously that's the industry they're in, they gravitate to that place. And it's almost seen as a badge of honor over there. And that's why, in my opinion, kids who may just one day go, hey, I think I'm a girl today, which kids say shit like that all the time, parents in Hollywood are far more likely to push them in that direction, in my opinion, instead of going, stop being stupid, go to your fucking room. Now, in 2022, during the Harry Potter HBO Hogwarts anniversary reunion type thing, where all the cast got back together, there was one person missing, J.K. Rowling. And that really confirmed that there was a very visible rift, because after Emma Watson had made her stand at J.K. Rowling, Rupert Grint and Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter in the series, both came out against J.K. Rowling, and Harry Potter very much so said, look, trans women are women and your words are hurtful and da-da-da-da-da. He really stood against her as well. And they basically kicked her out of the house that she built, which is wild. And around this time, J.K. Rowling in 2022 was also speaking out against politicians who were ignoring what she was saying and the points she was making about safety. She said, I don't think the politicians have the slightest idea how much anger is building amongst women from all walks of life at the attempts to threaten and intimidate them out of speaking publicly about their own rights, their own bodies, and their own lives. In this tweet, she said that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, publicly misrepresents equalities law in yet another indication that the Labour Party can no longer be counted on to defend women's rights. But I repeat, women are organising across party lines, and their resolve and their anger is growing. This then led to what was seen as a public attack from Emma Watson on J.K. Rowling as she turned up the BAFTA Awards to speak on the microphone.
Our next presenter is Emma Watson. She's proud to call herself a feminist, but we all know she's a witch. I'm here for all of the witches.
Now, you might have missed it there if you've never seen this clip before, but after she says, I'm here for all of the witches, she mouths the words, bar one.
I'm here for all of the witches.
Bar one. And when she said, I'm here for all the witches, how that was perceived was meaning that I'm here for biological women and trans women all together. And bar one, obviously, is apparently a dig at J.K. Rowling. You're the only one I'm not here for. And now, a word from our sponsors. Adult movie usage is down 47% since the Online Safety Act. But not in my house, it's not. And I know for some of you out there, it is a nightmare, right? You get the Kleenex out, you're ready to rock and roll, and they ask you for your data. Well, here's a way that you just bypass the lot and have a fucking good time on your own. Or with a friend. Whoever. Maybe get a woman to watch with you. If you can. I've read the comments. A lot of you lot, I'm not that confident in you. But whatever you can do, just have fun. That's all I'm saying. And do it with Surfshark. You see, with Surfshark, and I'm not exaggerating, it is a click of a button and it changes your location. Then when you reload up said website, whatever one you want to watch, they don't ask you for your details because they think you're in America. And I'm not exaggerating here. You just click Surfshark, click I'm in America, and you're in America. It's that literally 2 clicks. And before you know it, you're like P. Diddy in a hotel room. Spoiled for choice. And that's before I even get onto the fact that it's very difficult to watch football and boxing and other sports like that in the UK sometimes, and this will save you a lot of effort and money. So don't break the bank, go have a wank with Surfshark. I really hope they let me approve this advert, and if they do, that's exactly why they deserve your subscription. And by the way, Surfshark does work on all of your different devices as well, so you'll never be restricted for wherever you want to use it. And if you want to get a mega deal of Surfshark where you get 4 months extra of Surfshark for free with your deal, just scan the QR code on screen now or click the link in the description below. And also you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you change your mind during the first month, you can always cancel. However, you won't because it's great. So just click the link in the description below, go to surfshark.com/Geordie and get 4 months extra of Surfshark with your deal. Now, J.K. Rowling didn't immediately respond to that, but it was widely acknowledged that that was an attack on her. She did, however, continue to speak out about problems she has with the trans situation. There was a doctor known as Dr. Cass who had been conducting a robust review, according to J.K. Rowling, of the medical evidence for transitioning children. And she said people have been deemed far right for wanting to know that there are proper checks and balances in place before autistic, gay, and abused children who are all overrepresented at gender clinics are left sterilized, inorgasmic, and lifelong patients. Fuck me, man. When you hear her just put it into fucking one tweet like that, sterilized forever, you can't have an orgasm, and you're forever going to be a patient, and you're just a young kid who thinks at the time that this is something you need. And it is a fact that kids have wanted to detransition back later on in life. And I do think she's coming from a place of worry about those kids. For all people say she's just hate-filled, she hates trans people, I don't actually think that's the situation I'm looking at all when I'm reading all of this. She's a mother, she's had a lot of life experience, and she's saying, hold on a second, this isn't right, this. And I think this Dr. Cass's findings only confirmed, some of J.K. Rowling's thoughts, because she said she read the report this morning and her anger has been mounting all day. Kids have been irreversibly harmed and thousands are complicit. Not just medics, but the celebrity mouthpieces, unquestioning media, and cynical corporations. And I think you know who she might mean for the celebrity mouthpieces. Someone even commented, just waiting for Dan and Emma to give you a very public apology, safe in the knowledge knowledge that you will forgive them. She replies, not safe, I'm afraid. Celebs who cozied up to a movement intent on eroding women's hard-won rights, who use their platforms to cheer on the transitioning of minors, can save their apologies for traumatized detransitioners and vulnerable women reliant on single-sex spaces. That is some fucking sauce on it. She ain't playing around, because we're not playing around here. This ain't just trivial shit. This is life-changing for children. The most protected people, apparently, in the world. And yet we don't protect them, is what she's saying, and it's fucking disgusting. Then J.K. Rowling posted a very long post, and I'll just pick out some bits that I think are quite relevant. She said, nobody sane believes, or has ever believed, that humans can change sex, or that binary sex isn't a material fact. These letters do nothing but remind us of what we only know too well, that pretending to believe these things has become an elitist badge of virtue. That really reminds me of a video I watched where a guy goes to like a trans rally, and he sees an actual woman, and he goes, so when did you transition? And she goes, oh, no, I'm a real woman. And he goes, yeah, of course you are. But like, when did you? And she's like, no. And she immediately acknowledges that trans women aren't real women. Immediately, when she is accused of being one. What it shows is that this is just a show to make yourself look good, because people don't really believe this. No one does. It's people being polite, and it's gone far too fucking far, man. And I've got no problem in people addressing trans women as women. That's fine. But like, we're talking about serious matters here. We got to be honest. Court losses are starting to stack up. Sporting bodies have miraculously awoken from their slumber and remembered that males tend to be bigger, stronger, and faster than females. Parts of the medical establishment are questioning cutting healthy breasts off of teenage girls is really the best way to fix their mental health problems. And JK later quoted, a little reminder for anyone who may be regretting their very public sprint to the front of the mob and is now trying to discreetly shove their pitchfork out of sight. Which you know is happening. You know that the world is changing in the last 5 years, and that the people who were very vocal at one point are now maybe cancel culture and all of this stuff. Maybe it's not the best thing I should be doing, because the mood has changed. And one of the biggest moments in all of this was the Supreme Court ruling in 2025.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
J.K. Rowling celebrated after the Supreme Court ruled trans women are not legally women in a landmark judgment that could have momentous implications.
It just shows what a ridiculous world we live in, that was even necessary, by the way. And J.K. Rowling responded to this ruling with her celebrating in style, and this got 63 million views, so you know it's triggered someone. I love it when a plan comes together, she said, hashtag Supreme Court, hashtag women's rights. And she later commented, trans people already have the rights everyone else in society has, but some, not all, trans people demand that women give up rights, the right to single-sex spaces, to fair sport, to freedom of speech. No marginalised group has ever demanded that rights be stripped from another protected group. And no other supposedly marginalised group has ever been indulged by politicians, police and elite institutions to the extent the trans lobby has. I think we could debate that, but I get her point. So after years of battling to get her point across, J.K. Rowling essentially had won, right? In court, it had been acknowledged that she was right. And the tide of people hating on her had really turned in a big way, which brings us to the present day and the Emma Watson interview. Because Emma Watson ain't stupid. She's aware of everything that's going on and the way she treated J.K. Rowling in the past. And now it's brought up with her in person.
I really don't believe that by having had that experience and holding the love and support and views that I have mean that I can't and don't treasure Jo and the person that I had personal experiences with. I will never believe that one negates the other, and that my experience of that person I don't get to keep and cherish. To come back to our earlier thing, like, I just don't think these things are either or. I think it's my deepest wish that I hope people who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can keep loving people who I don't necessarily share the same opinion with. And I think that's a very, very important way for me that I need to be able to move through life.
It's not about a difference of opinion, though, is it? You publicly came out against her when she was speaking about her concerns. You decided to go public against her. You had a phone number. I've got no doubt you have a phone number. Could have just given her a ring, said, I don't really agree with you, maybe da-da-da-da. You went against her publicly in a way that was trying to shame her, if we're being honest. And you didn't need to. There was no reason for you to have to do this publicly. Yeah, you could have waited a while, you could have said something later, but by coming out against her that day, it picked you as the good guy and her as the bad guy, which meant that you would gain from it. And that's why she did it, because there was something in it for her. And if she had to step over the person that made her, so fucking what? I'm getting something out of this. And let's not forget the time that she did this. This was when cancel culture was brutal. This is a time where a TV personality committed suicide because of cancel culture. So it's not about you having a difference of opinion. Friends have differences of opinions all the fucking time. I've got multiple YouTube channels where all I do is disagree with me mates. You fanned the flames towards her in order to make yourself look good. And those flames weren't harmless flames. We're talking about death threats. You knew and you didn't care. And you did it against a person who, without them in your life, you'd be working at fucking Tesco's instead of being a multi-millionaire. You showed no loyalty and you showed your true colours. And ironically, you weren't even right. So all of that now was for nothing. Imagine something could happen to J.K. Rowling like it did Charlie Kirk. And you're sitting over there on your little virtue signaling fucking throne. The woman who made you. No good person goes after a friend like that publicly. But you just couldn't help yourself. You just couldn't help climbing on her back, stepping on her to get higher on the aren't I a great person ladder.
I really do believe in having conversations, and that those are really important.
You know, the reason why she's closing her eyes is she's struggling so much to navigate this situation. It's taken her forever to get these words out. None of them make sense. It's just a word salad. She can't make sense of anything because she's trying to find the perfect balance in the middle of, I'm sorry, but also, I'm not accountable. It's not my fault. I just disagree with you. She's avoiding the elephant in the room. And that's what cowards do. Cowards will dance around what really happened, the actual subject. They'll fluff it and they'll word salad it as much as they can so that they don't have to take accountability for the fucked up thing they did. They're always very vague and they'll never say the actual thing. It's always the same. She knows she shouldn't have done what she did, but she's so fucking deep in the virtue signaling and trying to get that clout from that community that she can't turn back now. She's too far gone. Because then it would have all been for nothing. I've sold my mate down the river now. I can't fucking turn back. I've got to pretend like, yeah, but also not as bad as I used to mean it. And the beauty of this is the tide has really turned on cancel culture, and those who were a part of it, supported it, encouraged it, are now being looked upon as worse than the ones that they tried to cancel. And the fact that she can't just own it exposes her for the coward that she is. But nothing exposed her quite as bad as the J.K. Rowling clapback. Are you ready for this? She says, I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them, unlike what J.K. Rowling has been facing. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. She has started well. When you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the past few years, I'd repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically. And she's saying there, I treat her with far more care than she ever treated me. She didn't give a fuck. She then mentions Emma Watson's All the Witches speech, which for her was a turning point, but it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asks someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Fuck me. She says she has my phone number. That was back when the death, rape and torture threats against me were at their peak. At the time when my personal security measure had to be tightened considerably and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Wow. You know what that proves? I know what I'm doing is wrong and what is happening to you is wrong, and I'm feeling a bit guilty about it, but not guilty enough to not do it to you because I need to look great. I need to be the hero to the trans community. So you're a casualty in this. And yeah, I feel a little bit guilty, but I'll just privately tell you that. I'll not say anything publicly like, everyone, I understand that you disagree with her, but she's a good person. She's helped me. Please lay off her. I'm not going to say anything publicly and put myself in the way of fire. Do you know why? Because like I said earlier, she's a coward. This is how cowards behave. Like other people who've never experienced adult life, uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life. She's ignorant to how ignorant she is. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She'll never be placed in a mixed-sex public ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is a single occupancy and comes with a security man standing with a guard outside of the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed-sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis centre that refuses to guarantee an all-female service to find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who identified into a woman's prison? Fuck no. That's the answer. She's so privileged, she doesn't even know what privilege is. And that's the point J.K. Rowling's making. I wasn't a multi-millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. Oh no. Make it stop. Throw in the damn towel. Call it off. It's over. She just finished her and I'm not even finished with the fucking sentences yet. I lived in poverty writing the book that made Emma famous. Just wow. It was my blood, sweat and tears that made your career. You weren't even a good actress. We could have changed her with any fucker. I coaxed you through your lines. I was the support system for you. I picked you. And this is how you fucking treat me. Stabbing me in the back. Disgusting, man. But this is what people are like, unfortunately. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the thrashing of women's rights, in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated, means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Because Emma has shown weakness in knowing that the tide has turned and that woke culture is people aren't listening to that shit anymore, Emma has tried to backpedal. Emma is trying to, oh no. You know what? You fucking say it with chest. Fuck it. You're going to be a dick. Keep being a dick. Don't come running back now that the world has changed. Stick to your fucking guns. But you're not brave enough to do that because it was never about being brave. It was about climbing on other people. That's what it was always about. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for her friend's assassination and then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is right to freely disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right and I finally decided to exercise it. My God, 8 Mile, hand her the mic, sit down. Oh, what are you going to say now, bitch? Huh? Nothing. You've just been 8 miled. It's over. Hermione, you had a good run. You thought you were Hermione. You're actually the horrible professor woman. You know, Umbridge, who regulates everyone's thoughts and won't let anyone think what they fucking should be thinking. That's who you really are. You were never Hermione. You're Umbridge, bitch. And we just come at you with all them Horcruxes. I never thought I'd say that. She just Horcrux the fuck out of you. Yeah, every Horcrux. You virtue signaling prick. And it's so funny because she says, I would never have spoken had you not have spoken in the way you have. And it's always the ones who say nothing that are sitting on a mountain of receipts. Always. And she made her career and she's now exposed her for the disloyal, ungrateful fraud that she is. And I fucking love it, mate. Fucking good on you. Because if you'll throw the person who made your whole career, your whole ability to earn money, she made that for you happen. And if you'll throw her under the bus, you're a fucking piece of shit. End of story. And isn't it mad looking back that this little girl once met this woman who wrote this book and just did so much for her and just totally underestimated her in the biggest way, not realizing I created this world. You're just living in it. I can't believe that this is how their story ends. And this is how it ends. Like, J.K. Rowling ain't forgiven nothing because you fanned the flames that made my life a living hell. So fuck you. And I fully support it. Let me know in the comments. Let me know how do you think that this was fair or not. I think this was more than fair. I think she could have been worse, in fact. But I know I see things a certain way, so I'm interested to see how you lot see it. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.